Okay, today we're going to do a demonstration for you on a Kellenberger that we just finished here in our shop. This is a model 1000U. This machine came in and was really a really nice running machine, and we decided we wanted to go a little further, so we sent out the tables to be reground. It's really nice when you have a nice clean ground surface here, and we also had the machine re-scraped. The longitudinal ways have been scraped, and the cross slide and wheel head slide have all been re-scraped by a local machine tool builder. I went through the machine mechanically and electrically and replaced any kind of components that needed replacing. The headstock's been taken completely apart and bearings all replaced and repacked and seals and whatnot in there. All new oil in the wheel head, excuse me. All new belts on the wheel head, new belts on the headstock on both sides. We've gone through the hydraulic system, cleaned out the hydraulic tank, and flushed out the machine, so all the oil is nice and clean. Currently, this machine is wired for 440 volts, 3-phase. It's a universal grinder. It's an ID/OD. The way this machine works is that you swivel the wheel head around. You have clamps on the top here that lock it in place. There's a T-slot, a round T-slot below the base here. And when you loosen it or disengage the locking device, and everything is nice like it is right now, that will rotate around. You have your ID spindle here. Now, in ID grinding mode, there's different modes for grinding here, where in the internal grinding, you wouldn't want this to back up at the end of the cycle because it will do that automatically if you choose to. So they have a setting here that you would put it on for internal marked I that will allow the hand wheel to do its infeed, but at the end of the cycle, the slide will not make its rapid movement back. And that's a good thing, because if you're inside of a bore and the spark out time is up and the wheel head goes back, your quill will just break out. So all grinders have some mechanism to prevent that. This headstock is live and dead. In other words, you could put a chuck in there or a collet and you can spin it with the spindle, or you can lock the spindle and put tooling in here. Now, this is a Morse taper number 5, a bore, and this is a Morse taper number 3. So you can get reduction sleeves, you can get a large center, you can get a reduction sleeve from 5 to 2. Most of the tooling in here is going to depend on a sleeve with a faceplate that you're going to mount your chuck to or your faceplate to, and a drawbar at the back. You've got a jog button here. This is the main control lever. This starts the cycle, brings the wheel slide forward. There is a rapid approach I would talk to you about. Starts the headstock rotating. This is your tailstock over here. Table adjustment. So let's go ahead and start this up. You see that rapid movement there? And then you're going to get your feed rate here. This is controlled by this knob. When we get down to 0, after a certain amount of time, which is adjusted over here, it sparks out. Now, if it gets to 0 and it's not exactly the right size, you have a fine adjustment here to make size adjustments. We also can put it in a hand mode and open up this feed thing and come in and do all your in-feed by hand. There's also a coarse feed lever here. If I was to engage this, I can bring the wheel from all the way in the back to the forward quickly. Now also, you notice this hand wheel up here. This has the ability to raise up and down. Most people don't use that, but it is an option on this particular machine, which we have. And what you would do with that is, if you were to turn this around and use this a setup here, you could actually set up a form of a surface grinder on here. So that's what that's about. You also have a longitudinal table movement here. And if we select one of these things, you see each time it reverses here that we feed. And that speed is adjusted here. And you can have that as slow as you want. So that's the Kellenberger 1000U. Let me start the grinding wheel up for you. This has a self-contained lubrication pump in the wheel head. When we're going to do ID grinding, again, we would lock this down in position, and you'd want to change this from automatic to the internal mode, which is the I. Automatically brings the slide forward. So now, when I want to start my cycle, the feed here, at the end of the cycle, when I get down to 0, this will retract inside the bore, but this will not go back out. That's the safety feature. So now you would move out of the workpiece, and then you could go back. So that's the Kellenberger 1000U Universal ID Grinder. Again, underneath here is there's one motor, runs the external wheel, and this ID spindle. So if you're really not going to be doing ID grinding all the time, you would want to take this belt off, because number one, it will be a lot quieter, and number two, it saves the life of this spindle. There's no reason for this spindle to be running all the time if you're not using it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.